Tonight, you do not need to try to sleep. You only need to stay here for a little while, beside an ancient lotus pond, where night does not arrive with sound, but with scent, not noisy, not calling, just breathing steady, deep, as if the whole sky were leaning its back against the surface of the water. Tonight is that kind of night. Before your eyes close, before sleep dares to step across the threshold, a small, quiet question is placed gently before you. What would happen if you did not need to try to sleep, but only needed to arrive at the right place? That place is not far. It lies at the edge of a quiet village, where the lotus pond opens wide like a round bowl catching moonlight, where the scent of young lotus drifts low along the water's surface, and the calls of frogs sound far, so far, that they are only enough to remind you that night is still alive. You are not a stranger here. The lotus pond has recognized you for a long time already. It recognizes you in the way your steps slow as the sky darkens, in the tiny sigh at the end of the day, in the very human wish to be at peace. The pond does not ask how far you have traveled, nor does it need to know what you carry with you. It simply opens and waits. Imagine the dirt path leading to the pond's edge. On both sides, dew-wet grass bows like silent greetings. On the water's surface, lotus leaves layer themselves broad, round holding moonlight in soft silver fragments. The lotus flowers have not fully opened, only slightly opened in the way of things that do not need to display themselves. And far away, very far away, the frogs call in turns, not competing, not rushing, like ancient beats keeping the night from becoming hollow. Something in this scene causes your shoulders to lower on their own. Not because anyone tells you to relax, but because your body recognizes. Here, there is no need for defense. The water does not ripple. The wind does not hurry. Everything is in its proper place. And so are you. This story does not come to pull you away. It comes to support you as you sit down. If you wish, you may lie still and simply listen. If you are still awake, stay awake. The night does not rush you. In these first moments, we only need to do one thing: place you at the center, letting the lotus pond and the sky revolve around your breathing, not the other way around. Notice the very faint scent the lotus mingled with warm mud and night grass. Notice the light, not a clear light, but a shimmer just enough to let your eyes rest. Notice the sound, the distant frogs, the water touching leaves, and between them a space that fits just right, where thoughts can set their luggage down. If you are looking for a sign that tonight is safe, this is it. The lotus pond does not close its gates. Sleep does not require a password. And this story, if you remain a little longer, will open itself layer by layer, slowly, so that you may slide into rest in the most natural way. In the next part, I will breathe with you very gently to close the door of the day and open the door of the night just enough. For now, simply sit here. The lotus pond is holding a place for you. Asterisk, asterisk. You are the central character. Asterisk, asterisk. There is something very important I want to whisper to you from the beginning, and if you remember only one sentence tonight, let it be this: you do not need to understand this story. You do not need to follow it, remember it, or try to reach the end. This story was not created for you to understand, but for you to sleep deeply, to sleep in the gentlest way your body knows. This is a healing sleep story series, not the kind with climaxes to create suspense, nor a journey you must complete. It is like a familiar night path, one where the moment you step onto it, your body already knows to slow down. Each episode is a safe space, designed to let your nervous system lower its guard, your shoulders drop, your breath lengthen without instruction. And in that space, you are the central character. Not a listener standing outside, not someone wandering into another person's story. Every scene, every sound, every movement in this series revolves around you to receive you, hold you, and guide you back to rest. If someone appears, if a land is mentioned, if an oil lamp flickers or lotus scent drifts through the night air, it all serves one purpose: to help you feel a little safer. You do not need to do anything to deserve this sleep. You do not need to have completed a perfect day, nor resolved everything. Even if today is unfinished, tiring, full of thoughts, you are still allowed to rest. This series exists precisely for days like that. Listening is very simple, and the simpler it is, the more effective. You may listen with headphones, or let the speaker play softly beside your bed. The volume only needs to be enough to hear the voice, not to catch every word. In fact, if you hear only fragments, that is even better. The brain does not need content, it only needs rhythm. Each episode in this series may be replayed 1 or 2 times at a lower volume. This is not unnecessary repetition, but a very ancient lullaby mechanism, like night wind, insects, or distant frogs by a lotus pond. No climax, no surprise, just steady and familiar. When the brain realizes, "Ah, I've heard this already," it stops tracking and allows you to drift deeper into sleep. And if you fall asleep midway, let me say this again, that is exactly the point. You miss nothing. There is no important part you must hear. Falling asleep is the sign that your body has trusted that tonight is safe. Throughout this series, you will often hear very gentle permissions. You may sleep at any time. Not at the end, not after finishing, not after trying a little longer. When your eyelids grow heavy, let them close. When thoughts loosen, let them dissolve. The story will continue, but you do not need to go with it if you have already arrived where you need to be. Now, try sensing tonight's space through your senses rather than through thought. See, in imagination, a small oil lamp, warm yellow light, not bright, just enough to outline the room. The light does not urge, does not inspect it, simply exists, like someone sitting beside you without needing to speak. Smell, a very faint dry wood scent, mixed with passing lotus fragrance. Not strong, not distinct, just enough for the brain to recognize this as the scent of night, of still water, of places that do not require vigilance. Listen, the night space is calm, not absolute silence, but calm with rhythm. Far away may be frogs calling steady, slow, like a reminder that nature is still guarding your sleep. Closer is the voice, low and steady, unchanging, not drawing attention, only forming a background. If there is still a part of your mind trying to control, trying to listen correctly, you may whisper a very small sentence, like sending a signal to the body. I don't need to do anything. This series does not ask for effort. It only asks for permission. Permission to be tired. Permission to rest. Permission for sleep to come in the most natural way. Right after this, we will move into the next part, where the breath is guided very slowly, very evenly, to close the door of daytime and open the door of night. If you already feel lighter, slower, or slightly sleepier, you are going the right way. And if you are not asleep yet, that is fine. The night is still very long, and you are right at its center. Now, before the story truly opens, I invite you to do one very small thing, so small you do not need to try. Simply stay here, in this moment, and let the breath lead the way. Imagine that today is a room. In that room are all kinds of things: sounds, tasks, words spoken, words unsaid, thoughts still hanging like coats not yet placed on hooks. You have been in that room all day. And now, night does not come to pull you back inside, but to allow you to close the door very gently, without sound. We will use the breath to do this. Not to control, not to breathe correctly, only to remind the body, tonight, there is nothing left to react to. When you are ready, or even if you are not, inhale through the nose for 3 counts. 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale very slowly through the mouth for 5 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the exhale be longer than the inhale. That is how the body understands. Vigilance is no longer needed. We do it once more, very gently. Inhale 3 counts, hold 4 counts, and exhale 5 counts, as if you are breathing out a long day. In this exhale, you do not need to think about what you are letting go of. The body will know, but if you want an image to lean on, let yesterday go first. Everything that happened, good or not, has completed its task. Let yesterday leave your shoulders in the exhale. Inhale, hold, and exhale this time, today. Unfinished tasks, unnamed emotions, conversations still echoing. No need to resolve. Just place them down, like setting a basket outside the door, knowing that tomorrow, if needed, you can return. Next time you exhale, let tomorrow drift away. Not because it is unimportant, but because it does not need you right now. Tomorrow will find you when the sun rises. Tonight is not for planning. Now, let the breath gradually return to its own natural rhythm. No counting, no guiding, just noticing sensation. And I will invite your awareness to move slowly through the body, like warm water flowing along the edge of a quiet lotus pond. First, the forehead. Let your forehead warm. Not hot, just gently warm, like an oil lamp glowing nearby. The tiny furrows between the brows no longer need to hold their shape. They may smooth, soften, like water when the wind stops blowing. Next, the shoulders. Your shoulders carried many things today. You do not need to remember them all. Just allow the shoulders to drop a little, not collapse. Just return to their natural place, like removing a heavy coat and hanging it on a hook. The neck and nape rest as well. Then, the chest. Let the chest open not wide, only enough for the breath to enter without catching. Each inhale creates a small space. Each exhale lets a layer of tension leave. The heart does not need to beat fast to prove anything. It only needs to beat steadily. Awareness flows down to the belly. Let the belly soften. No holding, no pulling in. A soft belly is a sign of safety. It is the body understanding there is no threat requiring readiness. Each breath lifts and lowers the belly like a very small wave on the Lotus Pond at night. Finally, the hands and feet. Feel warmth beginning to spread to the fingertips. It may be very faint. It may feel like a pleasant heaviness, or simply presence. Hands and feet do not need to go anywhere. They are allowed to be still. If at any point your mind wanders, that is completely normal. You do not need to pull it back. Simply return to a long exhale. In this breath, you are no longer preparing to sleep. You are entering sleep. And now, I will place a very light bridge to move you from inside the body into the landscape of the story. When you open your eyes, or when awareness simply opens, you see yourself beside a lotus pond. Not the lotus pond of daytime, but the lotus pond at night. The water is flat and dark, reflecting the sky like a deep mirror. Large lotus leaves rest still, edged with thin moonlight. Lotus flowers close their petals, keeping their scent inside, releasing only the faintest trace, the scent of water, earth, and quiet night. Far away, frogs call. Not near, not clear, just enough to remind you that night is alive, keeping watch. Each call is a natural lullaby beat, not to be understood, only heard. You do not need to do anything here. You are simply here. The door of day has closed. The door of night has just opened. And the story will now carry you onward. Slowly, deeply, and very safely. Asterisk, asterisk. Dusk falls by the ancient lotus pond. Asterisk, asterisk. Dusk does not end with a sharp boundary. It does not switch off. It dissolves like diluted ink in water, leaving behind a soft pause, just enough for night to enter without startling anyone. And you are here, beside the ancient lotus pond, where time does not move straight, but drifts slowly, bending gently along the water's edge, as if each moment has learned how not to hurry. The pond is not wide, nor is it narrow. It holds the size of a peaceful memory, wide enough to embrace the coming moonlight, wide enough to keep sounds that do not need names. The water's surface is flat like dark silk, rippling only faintly when the wind passes, leaving thin rings that fade, as if the water itself knows it should not make noise. Across the pond, lotus flowers bloom in scattered clusters, many colors, without competing for presence. There are white lotuses, thick-petaled, bright, layered neatly like moonlight folded over itself, so pure you do not want to look for long, afraid that a stray thought might cloud that clarity. There are fresh pink lotuses, warm in color like the last breath of daylight lingering, their outer petals opening a little wider, as if still holding afternoon sun within. There are pale pink lotuses, their color nearly dissolving into the air, so light that only when the moon rises do you notice they are there, silent, gentle, not asking to be seen. And in a few deeper corners of the pond are violet pink lotuses, their hue muted and inward like whispers meant only for the night. They do not display, they keep. All these lotus flowers, as dusk steps back, gently close their petals, not because they fear the dark, but because they know night is for holding scent. The lotus fragrance does not spread far. It does not seek you. It waits. Only when your breath slows does the scent reach you clean, cool, with a distant sweetness, mingling with still water and young mud, forming a deep cleanliness, like a rest placed precisely in the chest. Lotus leaves spread into large, dark green planes. Their edges curl upward like sheltering palms. The wind passes. The leaves touch very lightly, a sound so faint that if you were not listening, you might think it was only a thought. Asterisk, rustle. Hush, asterisk. Not distinct. Not continuous. Just leaves brushing, then parting, like two people passing in the night and choosing not to disturb. On some leaves, dewdrops left from late afternoon tremble, flashing briefly as the wind passes, reflecting the fading sky into tiny silver beads, then settling again as if the dew itself is learning how to be still. The pond's edge is low. The soil is soft. Each step you place is received by the ground, no echo, no reply. The grasses along the bank bow with the wind, long and short strands weaving together like hair let down after a long day. There is no clear path, only places the earth has grown accustomed to slow footsteps. The night wind glides over the pond, not cold, just cool enough. It carries the sound of lotus leaves shifting, grasses brushing, water quivering, blending into a thin layer of sound like a wind blanket laid gently over space. The moon is not full, but it has risen. At first only a thin streak, hanging low behind old bamboo. Then, very slowly, it climbs higher, the light thinning into silver, falling onto the water as a long, narrow, quiet line. The moon path does not glare. It feels like an invitation that requires no response. If you wish, you may stay. And then, the first sound of night appears. Not near, not clear, just distant frogs. One short call. Then, silence. Another answers, offbeat, unhurried. The sound does not come to fill the quiet. It comes to keep the quiet alive. The call travels across the water, touches lotus flowers, slides over leaves, glides along the grassy bank, and dissolves somewhere very far away, far enough that you do not need to attend to it. Only let it be there. And, strangely, each time the frogs call, you find yourself breathing a little deeper, as if the body recognizes a familiar signal. Night has truly begun. You may sit, or stand, or simply be. No posture is wrong. The ancient Lotus Pond asks nothing of you. It does not need your gaze, your thoughts, only your presence, while the landscape does its work. The water stays flat. The leaves continue to stir lightly in the wind. The flowers continue to keep their scent. The moon continues to rise. And the frogs, from time to time, call again, not from lack, but because night needs a very small heartbeat to avoid emptiness. If something within you is still moving, a thought, an image, an echo, let it drift down into the pond, light as a falling petal. The water will not hold it. It will receive, then let everything dissolve in the gentlest way. You do not need to move on yet. This scene is not finished. It has only just opened its door. And when you have grown accustomed to the moonlight, the many shades of lotus scent, the sound of leaves touching in the wind, the distant frog calls of the night, the story will step out very softly from the water, without rippling the pond, without waking you. Asterisk, asterisk. Sitting by the pond, learning how not to do anything, asterisk, asterisk. The wooden bench has been there for a very long time. No one remembers the year it was placed, only that the wood has faded with sun and rain, its grain opening like slow lines written by unhurried time. You sit, and the bench receives you, no creak, no shake, only sinking slightly, as if accustomed to the weight of those who come here to rest, not to do. You do not need to adjust your posture. The body finds its fit on its own, back supported, feet touching earth, shoulders releasing in a way daytime rarely allows. The lotus pond lies before you, close enough to see the veins on the leaves, far enough for everything to keep its gentle privacy. The water is calm, not rigid calm, but calm with tiny movement, like a long breath held at the bottom of the chest. Moonlight spreads across the pond in a thin silver band, broken as leaves cut the light into fragments. Those fragments drift, touch, part, like thoughts when they are not held. You lower one hand. Just one, not both. Your fingertips touch the water lightly, enough to know the water is there, and you are there too. The water is intelligently cool, not cold, not startling. It receives your hand like a wordless greeting. One ripple spreads, then another, then more, each thinner, wider, until it becomes impossible to tell where the last ripple ends and the original surface begins. You realize your thoughts often move the same way, beginning from a tiny point, spreading, then fading if no one insists on holding them. You do not need to chase thoughts away. You do not need to silence them. Just leave your hand there and let water do what water does. The frogs call again, far away. One call, a pause, then a few more. Not synchronized, not ordered, yet strangely even. Not even by clock, but by night. A rhythm that, if you listen long enough, you will notice matches your breath. Inhale, one call. Exhale, one pause. You do not try to align them. The body does it on its own. Sometimes a frog calls closer, low and deep. At other times, the sound is thinner, farther, like it comes from the opposite shore. They do not compete. They do not urge. Each call is enough, then yields space back to silence. You lift your hand from the water. The final ripples fade. The pond returns to flatness. There is no trace of your touch, and that lightens you in a strange way. Not everything needs to leave a mark. You rest your hand on your thigh. The palm warms. Your body notes the small change, then lets it pass, not turning it into a question. The night wind brushes through, stirring leaves, creating a sound as thin as fabric touching in a dark room. Here, there is nothing to do, nothing to complete, no role to hold. You are not a listener, not a character, only a presence permitted to be still. If daytime trains you to think about the next step, here the Lotus Pond teaches another lesson, that sometimes there is no next step, and that does not mean you are left behind. It only means you are exactly where rest belongs. You notice your breath has changed. Deeper, without effort. Longer, without counting. The breath enters, touches the belly's base, then flows out like water, receding very slowly, carrying away fragments of the day caught at the edges of thought. A stray memory may surface, unclear in form, unnamed. You do not need to follow it. Let it ripple and fade, like the water did when you touched it earlier. The water does not hold. You do not need to either. The frogs continue. The night continues. The moon climbs a little higher, the light becoming softer, deeper. Lotus leaves reflect silver into overlapping light and dark shapes, like a painting done with only two colors, yet rich enough to hold your gaze without tiring. You may close your eyes, or not. Both are right. If your eyes close, the Lotus Pond remains without images. If your eyes stay open, the scene does not ask to be examined. Your body is relearning a very old skill, resting without guilt. No need to prove exhaustion. No need to explain stopping. Just being here, by the pond, on the old wooden bench, among frog calls that breathe like the night itself. At some point, you no longer clearly distinguish whether the frogs are outside or within. You no longer distinguish whether the breath belongs to you or to the pond. Everything merges into a slow, round, even rhythm. The rhythm sleep recognizes immediately. If your eyelids grow heavy, let them. If thoughts blur, let them. Nothing needs to be held. The lotus pond remains. The night remains. And you are exactly where nothing needs to be done. The story has not gone anywhere. It is simply sitting with you, waiting until you are ready to drift deeper, without taking a single step more. Asterisk, asterisk, lotus, scent, peaceful memory, asterisk, asterisk. The lotus scent arrives very slowly. Not the kind that appears suddenly and announces itself, but the kind that slips in before you can name it, like a hushed greeting from the night to those willing to sit still long enough. At first, it is only a thin sensation in the air. Then you notice your chest feels a little lighter. After that, your throat softens. And by the time you truly notice, the scent is already there, everywhere, without overpowering anything. It is the scent of flowers opening in darkness. Unshowy, unhurried. A clean, cool fragrance with a faint sweetness at the end, like rainwater resting on stone after a long, sun-scorched day. The night wind moves across the lotus pond, carrying the scent evenly, not pushing, not pulling, only carrying, then releasing. You take a breath in, not deeper than usual, not trying to savor, just breathing and letting the body recognize it is in a safe place. Some memories do not need images. They arrive through scent. The lotus fragrance touches a very old corner within you, a place that once knew the feeling of being beside someone without needing to speak, a place that knew afternoons without decisions, a place that understood that sitting still could be enough. You do not need to find what that memory is. You do not need its name. You do not need to return to details. Only know this. Your body remembers. Your shoulders drop a little more. Not from exhaustion, but from no longer needing to hold. Places that were once tight the nape, between the shoulder blades, the lower back begin to soften, like earth evenly watered after many dry days. The wind passes again. This time, you feel it more clearly on your hands, your ankles, where the cool air leaves a sensation that feels very clean, not cold, just enough to remind you that night is here to hold, not to test. The lotus scent meets you again. This time it does not evoke memory. It soothes. Things that were heavy, words not yet spoken, tasks not yet finished, the feeling of having to be strong when strength was gone, now do not need solving. They are set down, not thrown away, not forgotten, simply placed beside this wooden bench, under moonlight, where the lotus pond can watch over them for you tonight. You do not need permission to rest. You already have enough reasons simply because you have lived through a day. The frogs call again, more evenly now, not because they are louder, but because your ears are less tense. When tension fades, every sound becomes gentle. One call, one pause. The lotus scent fills the pause like water filling a hollow. If you notice, you may realize the scent does not stay still. It moves slowly with small currents of air, sometimes richer, sometimes lighter. Like emotions, when allowed to drift without being fixed at a single level. You exhale. The breath leaves longer than it enters. Not because anyone told you to, but because the body has trusted there is no need to hurry. Perhaps somewhere inside you lives a very old tiredness. Not loud, not crying out, just there, quietly, for many days. The lotus scent does not ask what that tiredness is. It does not advise. It does not analyze. It simply stays nearby, long enough that the tiredness no longer needs to curl inward. You may feel a gentle warmth spreading in your chest. Not hot, not flaring, just warm. Like placing a hand on your own chest and realizing the heartbeat is slow, steady, and does not need your intervention. The lotus pond remains still. The water reflects the moon, yet the moon is never held. Everything here allows coming and going in a natural way. The lotus scent is the same. It arrives. It stays. And if you drift into sleep, it will still be there without needing you to be awake to sense it. You do not need to understand what is happening. Just let it happen. If a passing thought arises that says, "I should feel better," let that thought drift by like a breeze without fragrance. It is not necessary. The only thing needed now is permission. Permission for the body to grow heavier. Permission for the eyelids to fall. Permission for the lotus scent to do the work of lotus scent. The distant frog calls slowly blend into a single, very smooth sound bed. No call stands apart anymore. Everything becomes a slow current, like an invisible blanket being drawn up little by little over you. You do not need to pull the blanket. The night has already done that. If you are still awake, stay still. If you are drifting, allow yourself to drift deeper. The lotus scent remains. Light, clean, undemanding, allowing the peaceful memory within you to breathe and giving sleep enough space to arrive without needing to knock. The lamp hangs low. The yellow light is soft. There are no sharp shadows. Everything in the hut has gentle edges. You look around, not to inspect, but because the body is quietly registering. Here is a low bed, close to the ground. A thin blanket, neatly folded, not too heavy. A pillow, just right, not high, not sinking, and a small window, slightly open, looking straight out to the lotus pond. The wooden hut by the pond, a place to stay the night. The path leading from the wooden bench by the pond to the small wooden hut is not long, but the night deliberately slows it down, not to test you, but to give you enough time to leave the state of sitting and step into the state of going home. The lotus pond remains still. The water reflects the moon, yet the moon is never held. Everything here allows coming and going in a natural way. The lotus scent is the same. It arrives. It stays. And if you drift into sleep, it will still be there without needing you to be awake to sense it. You do not need to understand what is happening. Just let it happen. If a passing thought arises that says, "I should feel better," let that thought drift by like a breeze without fragrance. It is not necessary. The only thing needed now is permission. Permission for the body to grow heavier. Permission for the eyelids to fall. Permission for the lotus scent to do the work of lotus scent. The distant frog calls slowly blend into a single, very smooth sound bed. No call stands apart anymore. Everything becomes a slow current, like an invisible blanket being drawn up, little by little, over you. You do not need to pull the blanket. The night has already done that. If you are still awake, stay still. If you are drifting, allow yourself to drift deeper. The lotus scent remains. Light, clean, undemanding, allowing the peaceful memory within you to breathe and giving sleep enough space to arrive without needing to knock. Asterisk, asterisk. The wooden hut by the pond, a place to stay the night. Asterisk, asterisk. The path leading from the wooden bench by the pond to the small wooden hut is not long, but the night deliberately slows it down, not to test you, but to give you enough time to leave the state of sitting and step into the state of going home. You stand up very gently. No need to strain your knees. No need to brace your hands. The body knows how to leave the bench, as if it has been waiting for this moment for a long time. Beneath your feet, the ground is cool and firm. Not damp, not slippery, just soft enough to remind you that this place does not require vigilance. The wooden hut appears ahead, small, low, nestled beside the lotus pond, like an invitation that does not need words. There are no high steps, no large doorway, only a simple wooden door already half open, and a gentle yellow light flowing out from inside like warm honey. That light does not reach far. It is just enough to receive you. You step inside. The air in the hut is different from outside, slightly warmer, slightly drier, carrying a very familiar scent. The smell of wood that has rested for many years, the smell of sun-dried blankets, the scent of nights that no longer require going anywhere. The door closes behind you, not fully, just enough to keep the wind from rushing in, while still letting the sounds of night slip through. The lamp hangs low. The yellow light is soft. There are no sharp shadows. Everything in the hut has gentle edges. You look around, not to inspect, but because the body is quietly registering. Here is a low bed, close to the ground. A thin blanket, neatly folded, not too heavy. A pillow just right, not high, not sinking, and a small window, slightly open, looking straight out to the lotus pond. Outside, the moon has climbed higher. Moonlight slides across lotus leaves, breaking into scattered shards of brightness on the water. And the frog still there, distant, steady, unhurried. You do not need to do anything yet. Just stand still for a moment inside the hut. This moment matters more than you think. It is when the body understands you have arrived at the night shelter. There is no need to go further. No need to stay alert. No need to keep time for anyone else. You draw the blanket out, as lightly as pulling a cloud. The blanket is not heavy, but it has just enough weight for the body to feel held. You sit on the bed. Because the bed is low, there is no climbing. When you sit, the mattress sinks just a little enough to say it receives you, but not so much that it pulls you down too quickly. A very strange feeling appears. You no longer want to do anything more. Not to think, not to arrange, not to prepare, just to be still. You lie down. Your back meets the bed. The spine finds its own straight line. The shoulders fall to either side, no longer trying to hold any shape. The blanket is pulled up to your chest, not too high to make breathing difficult, not too low to feel cold. The pillow supports the nape just enough, not pressing, not slipping. Everything here is set at just the right level, so you do not need to adjust anything. You turn your face toward the window. That small window is a very careful choice. Not large enough for moonlight to wake you, not so small that the night is blocked. Through it, the frog calls drift in. No need to know which frog. No need to distinguish. Just a living but gentle sound bed. The calls are different from daytime. At night, they are slower, more spacious. There are pauses between sounds, like the breathing of something very large, the pond, the forest, the earth sleeping with you. You inhale, not deeply, just enough. You exhale, a little longer. If a lingering thought remains something like, "I should be sleeping now," let that thought dissolve as soon as it appears. Here, there is no should, only allowed. You are allowed to lie down, allowed to listen, allowed to do nothing. The yellow lamp in the hut is still on, but the light is lower than when you entered. Perhaps someone turned it down, or perhaps your eyes have adjusted to the dark. It does not matter. What matters is this. Your body is recognizing the rhythm of the night shelter. All inner movements begin to slow. The heart no longer needs to signal anything. The stomach softens. The jaw releases. Outside, a light breeze passes over the pond. Lotus leaves touch gently, creating a sound so small it is almost not a sound, but a movement. The frogs respond, not together, not urgently, just one call, then another, as if they too are lying in their own wooden huts. If you wish, you may place one hand on your chest, not to check your heartbeat, just to feel your own presence. The chest rises with the inhale, falls with the exhale. Everything else can wait until morning. Here, in this wooden hut, you do not need to be the best version of yourself. Only the rested one. The night knows how to guard your sleep. The lotus pond knows how to keep still. And the frogs, those unnamed night watchers, will continue calling, so you do not feel alone, even as you drift into sleep. If your eyes have closed, let them close. If they remain slightly open, that is fine too. The hut does not require you to sleep immediately. It is here simply to wait until you drift when you are ready. The yellow light dims further, not turning off, just enough to no longer be the center of attention. You hear the night more clearly. Then the night itself grows distant. Finally, only your own breath remains slow, steady, and needing no guidance. You have come home for the night, and there is nothing more to do. Asterisk, asterisk, lying down, protected, asterisk, asterisk. Now, no further steps are needed. You have gone far enough to not need to go on. You have arrived at the right place to lie down. Your body understands this before thought can catch up. It finds its position on its own, arranges points of contact, adjusts the breath until everything fits, neither tight nor loose, neither lacking nor excessive. The pillow supports your head like a listening hand, not pushing the neck up, not tucking the chin in, just holding the head at a very natural angle, where the small muscles around the nape stop working and allow weight to be given away. You do not need to place your head. Your head is received. The blanket touches your skin very lightly, not pressing, not covering so fully that breathing feels restricted, just enough for the skin to know there is a soft boundary holding me here. In this moment, you can clearly feel each point of contact. The back of the neck, warming. The shoulders, releasing, no longer hanging. The back, spreading evenly on the bed, not bracing, not arching. The hips and thighs, gently heavy, as if set into the right frame. The feet, relaxed, toes no longer curling. If you wish, let one hand rest on your chest, the other on your belly. Not to do anything, just to be there. The breath begins to flow into its own night rhythm. Inhale, not deep. Exhale a little longer. With each exhale, you do not need to try to let go. Letting go happens naturally, like leaves falling when the time has come. Outside, the lotus pond remains. The moon still hangs quietly, and the distant frogs steady, not urging, not demanding attention, only remind you that the night is alive and you are safe within it. Now, I invite you to whisper or simply think very gentle phrases, not to convince yourself, only to mark them. I am safe now. No reason needed, no proof required, just a truth that is present. I am safe now. You may let this sentence dissolve in your chest like a gentle warmth spreading. Then, when ready, one more sentence. Tonight, I am allowed to rest, not I will try to sleep, not I must sleep, just allowed to rest. Allowed to rest from thinking, allowed to rest from needing to understand, allowed to rest from having to stay alert for the world. Tonight, the world does not need you to do anything. If something still lingers, a thought unfinished, a feeling unnamed, you do not need to handle it. Just place it beside the bed, like setting down a jacket worn all day. You can pick it up again in the morning. It will be there. It will not disappear. It will not lose you. Right now, your body is being sealed inside a feeling of safety. Notice again The pillow keeps your head steady. The blanket keeps the temperature just right. The air around your nose is cool and clean. The chest rises and falls evenly. The belly is soft, hands and feet warm from the inside. If your eyes have closed, let them remain closed. If they are still slightly open, that is fine. The light in the hut is gentle enough to make no demand. The distant frog calls now sound like a background rhythm. No need to distinguish. No need to count. They are simply there. Each call is a quiet confirmation. The night is moving normally. Nothing unusual is happening. There is nothing that needs a reaction. You do not need to keep watch. You do not need to listen for danger. You do not need to wait. You are allowed to drift to the edge of sleep. At that edge, thoughts are no longer words. They become faint images, then sensations, then dissolve like mist. At that edge, time does not need precision. There is no how much longer. There is only now. If you wish, repeat very softly, just once more. I am safe now. Tonight, I am allowed to rest. Then, there is no need to repeat it again. From here, sleep is not something you enter. It is something that comes to you, like night dew settling onto the lotus pond. Not hurried, not loud, not requiring you to open a door, only requiring that you lie still. And you are already lying still. Asterisk, asterisk. Soft replay of the storyline. Asterisk, asterisk. Now, the voice will lower one more level. Not so you can hear it more clearly, but so you no longer need to hear it. If you are at the edge of sleep, let yourself drift. If you wake briefly during the night, let this repeating section receive you like a familiar mat already laid out. No questions, no demands, no need to start over. We only move again very slowly. The lotus pond, still there. The water flat, unbroken. Lotus leaves opening and closing very gently, like a breath larger than yours. No need to look. Just know the lotus pond is still there. The night settles softly. No clear boundary. Only less light, then less again. The wooden bench by the pond. You sit down. Or perhaps you have been sitting there for a very long time already. The wood is cool, steady, not shifting. You do not need to balance. The bench holds you. Your hand touches the water, not stirring, not scooping, just touching. The water is cool, then familiar. Small ripples spread, thinning, fading, like the thoughts just now. No need to remember what they were. Just feel. They dissolve. The lotus scent. Not strong, not dense, just passing through. It comes and goes, does not linger long, does not ask for attention. Your body recognizes the scent before thought does. The shoulders soften a little. The chest widens a little. The moon rises, not glaring, just enough to draw a thin line of light on the water. The moon does not follow you, does not look at you. It simply exists. And that is enough. The distant frogs, not closer, not farther, just steady, calling, pausing, calling again, like the background rhythm of night. No message carried, nothing to understand. If you wake, the sound tells you only one thing. The night is normal. You are still safe. We stand up, not rushed, not deciding, just that it is time to leave the bench. The wooden hut by the pond, the door open, a small yellow lamp, not brighter than needed. Your shadow passes across the wooden floor, not stretched long. The low bed, the pillow already there, the blanket ready. You lie down, or perhaps you were already lying there and have only just remembered. The pillow supports your head, the blanket touches your skin. No further adjustment, no search for a perfect position. Your body knows. The breath flows evenly. No counting, no guiding. Just in, then out. The lotus pond recedes. The wooden bench blurs. The water dissolves into darkness. The lotus scent lingers for a long while, then fades. The moon does not disappear. It simply no longer needs to be seen. The frogs are still there, distant, steady. If you have just awakened, it is all right. You do not need to start over. You are already in the right place. Just listen one more cycle. Lotus, water, each night. Frogs. With each repeat, the voice grows softer. The images blur. The spaces widen. There is no climax, no conclusion, only a very gentle continuation. Sleep does not arrive as a fall. It arrives when there is nothing left holding you. And now, there is nothing left to hold. Lotus, water, night, frogs, lotus, water, night. Everything has repeated enough. The rest, let the night continue. Asterisk, asterisk, sound that keeps the dream's door. Asterisk, asterisk. Now, the narration will stop here, not because the story has ended, but because the night has taken over its part. Music begins very softly, so soft that even if you do not listen, it is still there. Soft like a thin layer of mist settling along the lotus pond's edge as the moon tilts. There is no high melody, no climax, only a gentle, steady, rounded tone. Enough to keep the door of dreams slightly open, enough to avoid waking anything that is asleep. Far away, the frogs continue calling. No need to distinguish each one. No need to separate them. Just the sound bed of night. Like the shared breathing of the lotus pond, the wet grass, everything resting with you. The wind passes very lightly, not strong enough to stir lotus leaves, just enough to keep the air moving slowly so you do not feel alone. The music stays in one color, no change in rhythm, no new layers added. In the final 30 seconds, no new effects will appear, no bells, no strange sounds, no surprises, only a very slow fading, like when you relax your hand and no longer remember the moment you let go. If, at this moment, you are still awake, you may gently tap, follow, touch, like, or share this story with someone you feel might also need a quiet night. No rush, not right now, only when it feels gentle. And if your eyelids have grown heavy, your thoughts slowed, and your breath has found its own rhythm, then do nothing at all. Let the music remain. Let the distant frogs call for you. Let the wind keep the night's rhythm. Let the lotus pond reflect dreams you do not need to remember in the morning. The sound will continue to fade, not turning off completely, just withdrawing, far enough for deep sleep, close enough to keep you held. The night knows how to do the rest. If you feel this story helped you sleep more easily, when you wake, you may like, follow, or share, so that on future nights, we can meet again in another quiet place. For now, there is nothing to do. I am safe now. Tonight, I am allowed to rest. Sleep well. The lotus pond is still there. The frogs still call in the distance, and the night will keep watch over your sleep.